Great. Thank you for coming, as well as, so we get today 3 other remote students, I think 2 from sophomore and 1 from Amherst. And welcome, and thank you for muting whenever you want to speak. Just unmute and then you can speak up. And same for everyone here. The conference mic up there can capture everything. So don't worry. And okay, so welcome to Math 347 Bachelor's Bayesian Statistics. I'm Professor Monica Hu. I work in the Math and Stats department, and my training is Bayesian Statistics. And so I'm pretty excited to offer this course the 3rd time. And the first time I was teaching it, I think it was 2016, the fall. It was the traditional face-to-face course. But then the second time, which is 2017, the fall, I was able to share the course in the SLACO consortium. I will talk about that in a bit as well. But this is the second time that I'm sharing this across different campuses. And this time we actually get students from Swarthmore, Carleton, and Amherst. Okay? And in addition to everybody here at Vassar. So today I will start with basic introduction to the course and some of the logistics as well, and then we can start talking about how to make Bayesian inference in the simplest setting. And so whoever has questions, just speak up, like here, like I said, and I will see you guys as well, so that's no problem. And for remote students as well, just speak up whenever you want. And I also noticed from last time that when I write with the stylus on the iPad, there will be like a 1 second or 2 second delay in terms of what you see. So maybe, I have to learn to practice that kind of speaking and writing. So let me know if it doesn't work or it works, and any kind of feedback. Okay. All right. So okay. So let's get started for today. So course orientation will take about, I think, 20 minutes, and then we can do how to think about the interpretation of probability in terms of Bayesian aspects. And then we're going to talk about Bayes' rule. That's, I guess, the most fundamental rule that every other Bayesian method is actually stem from. And then I will talk a little bit about Bayesian inference and probability review. I think 3rd and 4th might have to be wait until next lecture. But okay, so let's get started. For course orientation, oops, I just didn't check it. So obviously lecture we're meeting here instead of Rocky. And so it's Tuesday and Thursday here, 1:30 to 2:45. And some of the lectures will be used as labs. So that will be the case that I will ask you in advance to bring your laptop over. And we're going to use R and R Studio. And I think many of you are familiar with, but I will give instructions of how to download and install if needed. And office hours are Tuesday 4 to 5, Wednesday 10:30 to 11:30, and then 1:30 to 2:30 in Rocky 403, and or by appointment if you ever need to schedule something other than those times. And in fact, I should also, I guess, tell everybody at Vassar as well, we have two 30-minute sessions of office hours for the remote students on Wednesday. I can announce the hours to you as well in case you want to make it. I will just be in my office. So if you want to come over, or it's actually very convenient to join the Zoom meeting. So FYI, I'm using a software called Zoom, and then that's how the other students can join real time. And if you're away for some reason or couldn't come or like sit in the dorm room, you can also just Zoom in real time to access the course. Plus, we are recording the course, as you can see over here, and I will upload the recorded lecture, because some of the remote students can never attend real time, and for them mostly, but for everybody else, you can also access those lecture recordings on YouTube afterwards, if you ever want to review such a material. So this time, last time when I did it, I was just recording like 75 minutes video, super long. I wonder how people are watching it, but this time, I realized Zoom has a function that whenever I stop, say like after I'm done with course orientation, I can actually stop recording and then start again. And then actually the software is gonna convert like say 2 chunks of videos. So then I will be able to shorter those videos in a way that later you can just look at the title of the video, you'll be able to see which ones you want to look at, okay? So, so for that, I would like to ask your help in case I forget. Just let me know, like say, oh, you noticed that I actually moved to a different topic and I didn't click that. If you can let me know, feel free just like raise your hand and I will do that. So that can help everybody. Okay? Yeah. Okay, thank you. And the general info. The prerequisites for this course at Bachelor is 220, 221, and 241. Okay, so make sure that you have all of this, and then for remote students also the equivalent at your college. And the textbooks that we're using is the first course in Bayesian statistical methods. So hopefully you get a copy already, or your copy is arriving soon. The math office has an extra copy if you want to borrow, like just read it in the math lounge in case you need it. But hopefully everyone will get a textbook soon. And the software mostly will be R, and in particular R Studio. That's a convenient interface for using R programming software. And I include the links over here if you haven't downloaded them before. And if you want to use R Studio, make sure that you also download and install R first, because that's the basic. And the R Studio is really just interface. And the web page for our course is Bachelor's Moodle. I think many of you have already accessed it, which is good. And over there, you will see tentative schedule is a link, which I think many of you check it already. And that side will be where I will be posting homework, readings, announcements, etc., etc. So check that regularly, especially the tentative schedule if you're curious what we're going to do for a particular lecture. But anything kind of like due dates for homework or labs will always be communicated through email as well. But that schedule will be also updated accordingly. So checking that is always a good idea. Okay. All right. So if you have read the syllabus, you will notice that I sort of divide the course topics in 3 general parts. The first one is inference. I put in first because that's how we're going to start things, especially Bayes theorem, Bayes rule. And there are certain concepts in Bayesian inference. So I list them over here: conjugate prior, posterior distribution, HPD interval, predicted distribution, etc., etc. So that will mostly come from this book, chapter 1, 2, 3, and 5. And within talking about those topics, actually, we're going to introduce computation. Especially, we're going to start talking about Monte Carlo approximation when we were talking about chapter 2 or chapter 3 or 4 or 5 already. And then we're going to move to MCMC, which is short for Markov chain Monte Carlo. That's the main computation, I would say, techniques for doing Bayesian inference. In particular, among the MC, so MCMC is the biggest frame, and within it, you're going to learn something called Gibbs sampler, or like Metropolis Hastings algorithms, et cetera, et cetera. So all of this are making Bayesian inference computationally possible, okay? And so we'll go through that. So you notice that certain chapters of the book devoted for computation only, like 4, 6, and 10. But again, when we introduce those ideas, it's going to be under the frame of certain inference questions or certain models. So you will see that actually those topics are intertwined a lot, okay? And the last one is application. So I listed, so we're definitely going to cover Bayesian hierarchical modeling, which is, I think, chapter 7, and Bayesian linear regression 8. And when we get chance for longer, like if we have additional time, I will introduce some other topics as well. Okay, so we'll see how things go. But again, all of this topics, even though I divide them in this way, they're really depend on each other. And you will see that when we cover one particular chapter, you're going to see so many different aspects of Bayesian inference. So really think it as a whole thing, whereas, but again, in order to introduce you to the whole field, we have to sort of systematically break them in this way. But keep in mind that in order to do a project, for example, you definitely need to have all of those knowledge, okay? And we try to build up the course in a way that for each unit or each chapter, you're learning both like 3 aspects as much as you can, okay? All right, so don't worry about the terms. I don't expect you to know now. If you do, you don't have to come to the class. And okay, so for this thing, so this is, you probably noticed, this is, okay, actually, LACO just changed their name, so I have to update this. But anyway, it's a 11-school liberal college consortium. Bachelor is a member. And what we're doing right now is in the upper level math and stats project. The idea is that most of our schools, the upper level math and stats offering is very limited because of the staffing as well as the number of students interested in those topics. So we started this project 2 years ago. We're hoping to enrich upper level offering across the board. and then trying to like say, I'm offering this here and I'm allowing other students from other colleges to take it, and then vice versa. So actually there are some other math courses going on in the consortium if you ever, yes?
I just want to ask about this. So this is accessible for bachelor students also looking to save classes at other schools?
Good point, yeah. So I have to check what's available in this semester. Yeah, I don't know yet, but I know last semester there was a problem-solving course at Williams, which was actually like available to us. It's just, I don't know if any students took it already,
right.
But the whole project, so the project that I'm in is called Upper Level Math and Stats Project. So we did the pilot study, and now it's actually opened up just for, it's just named Course Sharing Project. So it's not only math and stats. Yeah, okay. So other things are being developed, but it will take time, obviously. But if I see any opportunities, I will forward you guys the information if any other courses you want to take. Speaking of what's available, when we did the pilot study, so I did this course in 2017 in the fall. In spring, Steve Miller from Williams did problem solving, and then Stefan Garcia from Pomona did a real analysis, graduate level real analysis. And I don't think any master's student took it, but I remember for both of the other two courses, some Swarthmore students took them. So let's try to like utilize the offering as much as we can. And again, this is being developed, so I will make sure that I pass along any information. Yeah, but as long as for statistics, I think this is the only one for now. But math, I think, like I said over here, there are a couple of other ones. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So, okay, so this semester, this is what we have. I think 18, probably a little bit more than 20 now, bachelor's students, plus I think now is 8 students over there. And okay. All right, so so lectures will be synchronized online in real time and recorded for remote students. Don't worry about the last, I think I didn't sync the version of the slides well enough, so don't worry about that. But for us, you can have, I expect bachelor students to come to the class in person, but like I said, you can always access it if you cannot make it through the Zoom. I can share information of how you access the course. And recorded lectures will be posted on YouTube, and I will send the link to everyone if you ever want to watch them. Okay. So I definitely didn't sync this. Okay, let me just talk about what I thought I was going to talk about. So, okay, so this was, I think, last year, so I didn't sync this part. But what I'm trying to say for this slide is I'm hoping to talk about what I found out useful last year when I did this, and what I think we should try to do better to make this a better experience. So last year, 2 things I found pretty useful. One thing is certain material is actually pretty good to be turned online. So for example, if we're doing some kind of review of material, for example, probability, which will be a review that I will do in class, but certain stuff, say problem solving or doing a particular exercise, instead of writing it down in a PDF document and share with everyone, I was able to do some kind of short recording, and then I will be able to like post it on YouTube, like the list that we have. And then instead of looking at like a hard copy of all of the steps shown to you all together, that kind of like step-by-step derivation will be able to convey through videos. So that's something that I found useful. Another thing is I was able to invite, so some of you probably know, Josh DeLeu in the cognitive science program. So he's a cognitive scientist, but he's also a Bayesian. He does a lot of Bayesian methods for his research. So I was able to invite him to record like a 20 minutes video for introduction to Bayesian hierarchical modeling. And so I think we're gonna definitely like invite him again this year. I was able to get something else from a computer science professor at Washington Lee, and I will show the video later when we get to the point, and he did some kind of, because he's researching in Bayesian robotics, and then he showed some interesting stuff that is developing in their field. So this is another type that I think is really useful. Sometimes I notice doing office hours, people came to ask the same questions times like over and over and over. I mean, different people asking the same question. So when I saw that, I was able to also make sure videos to post and to share with everyone. So I think that will be also helpful. So that's one takeaway. Another thing I learned last year, which I think I would definitely do more this year, is the Moodle discussion forum. So already introduced you guys to the self-introduction post. So make sure you do that as soon as you can. And that you will see that throughout the semester, this are for credit. Throughout the semester, we will be doing some kind of discussions online. So make sure that you participate as much as you can. I started this off because I want to include the remote students, but later on I realized when I was able to, say, for credit, force you guys to respond and read the stuff beforehand, and then the in-class discussion was much better as well. So for that reason, I think I will keep doing it, and so just stay tuned whenever like there will be announcement for that kind of participation is needed. Okay, and what I want to do for this year a little bit better is how to, so we have about more than 20 students here, and then 8-ish remote students in total. So I would like to have, so last year was only one remote student, so the interaction between that student with us was pretty limited. And again, it was only one of them, so it was hard. So this year, we're gonna, throughout the semester, we have case studies or like projects at the end, etc. So we will be, I will try to team people up from different campuses, so you'll be able to work together and to get a better experience for everyone. Okay. All right, so don't worry about the slides, and okay. All right, so for the course objectives, I told you earlier that there are 3 parts of the material: inference, computation, applications. And then of course, for the introduction, I think today and then Tuesday, I will do a little bit more review of some of the prerequisite material, and mostly on probability. Okay, so you will see that in Bayesian inference, we're gonna start talking about like one parameter model that you only have one parameter. But then, so that will be single, like single calculus, right? Single parameter calculus. But then a lot of times we have so many different parameters in the model, then you really need to be good at doing double integral or differentiation, that kind of stuff. So this will be my focus of review. But then whenever you see anything that you feel like, oh, you better catch up, then you have to do it by yourself. But of course, you can always ask me about it as well. But based on my experience, I think that kind of double integral or like triple or even more parameters type of stuff will be the most useful to review at the beginning. Okay. All right. So let's see. All right. So yeah. So again, I apologize. I think I didn't sync the file well enough. So I think I shipped the homework to be 30% and participation to be 10%. Everything else should be the same. So just read the syllabus. Next, I will update this and then upload it again. But I think for this semester, we're going to do homework for 30%, participation 10, 2 midterm exam, both 20%, and the final project. Okay, 20%. And so there will be no final exam, so it will be done by before the reading week. Okay. All right. Okay, so before I go here, just really quick, make sure that you complete the surveys online as soon as you can. And I think I sent invitations to you all about the data cam account, so make sure that you access to it.
Do something great.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to say for that. Okay. Make sense? Great. Thank you. So I will